So they are doing a weird thing. This is really odd behavior for Facebook on a live video. I'm familiar. It says I'm live. I don't think anybody's going to be there. But I am watching the craziest shit today. There has never been so much flight traffic over my house ever. And you got to wonder, man, this stuff that they were doing. That's what I said about World War II. This stuff that they're doing. I mean, I've got helicopters flying down literally 100 feet over my house, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. What a brilliant and beautiful, awesome day it's been, really. Hey, Liam, how are you, man? What a day. This is such a freaking day, man. So I figured out something really wild today. I'm going to get on my whiteboard in the garage in a second, but I'm going to show you guys your best method of knocking shit out of the sky, because I'm telling you, they were spraying. It had to be 20-mile wide. So there's one down that way. They had to be 20-mile wide clouds. Yeah, maybe 10 mile. I mean, it's hard to tell because if it's up in the stratosphere, right, that's so far away, how do you judge what that would be? You know, I don't know what the distance is. But I've got a blue spot right here above my house, right, starting to open back up again. And these big wide ones, like right there, I don't know if it's right underneath that wire. I don't know if you can barely see that, right? But they have been spraying the shit out of me all day today. Like literally all day. And so here's the answer. Just so everybody knows right out of the gate. And I don't, because this is the way you fight these tornadoes and all this shit, right? You knock the clouds down, you knock the cloud cover down, you let the temperature stay up high on the ground, right? When you have the cold fronts and warm fronts and all that different stuff, and the clouds are moving in different. I mean, I'm no weatherman, by any stretch of the imagination. Watching and observing as critically as I do anymore, this is going to be blue in 15 minutes. But they literally fly a plane over my, and the planes are flying out. Go look at my earlier videos from today. Battered Manchester today. Oh, Jesus, what a day, man. What a day. Like, I knew immediately when I did it. So I posted the first video of the sky opening up. Everything here went pure blue. Pure blue, exactly when I put the grounding rods in, right? It was a gray hard cover all day long. And, it was a gray hard, just nonstop. It's supposed to pour. We didn't get very much rain at all. So, I mean, it's still kind of bright above me. And it's supposed to be this, overcast. We were supposed to have thunderstorms by 7 o'clock. We didn't have those yet, right? But wait until you see this friggin' thing that I put in my yard. My neighbors are probably driving and go, what the fuck is that guy doing over there, But I have to explain what I'm there's more blue skies back there, right? See? But right above, so there's two different directions that the clouds are coming from. And I've really been paying meticulous attention to it. And you can't do it unless you have the paint cans up, right? And you have to direct them into where the clouds are coming from, right? You have to direct them at the oncoming storm or the oncoming clouds, okay? But you're going to need at least two, right? So because one side is going in one direction and the other one is crisscrossing it. So this is also why they spray in different directions, right? To catch whatever that current is of air movement is what I assume, or, to come across where, if the wind is pushing this way, it will blow these charged particles into the path. So when you start to watch, you start to pay attention, everything I'm saying right now would make a lot of sense to you. So this is the short one. This is the short one, and I went with a 4-foot rod, and I banged it down into the ground, and I pointed it in the direct. All the clouds were coming from here this way. These were the low cloud cover. Let me think here. Yeah, the low cloud cover is coming from that direction. The stratospheric stuff is coming from that direction and moving this way, right? So one is coming from the southwest and moving northeast. The other one is coming from northwest and moving southeast, okay? So what I'm going to show you here, this is a big one, right? That's a 10-foot rod. I have it pounded in the ground about 3 feet. That's what I did today. And as soon as I did that, that was at like 3:30 that was like 3:30 in the afternoon-ish, right? Within 5 or 10 minutes. So if you go onto a radar app and you look all this stuff up, go onto a radar app and look at the break in the clouds from 3:30 or, you know, even maybe 3:15 forward, and you'll see in northeastern Pennsylvania, look for Chickasha, Pennsylvania, Hazleton, Pennsylvania, or Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, because that's where the majority of the clouds that I have are headed, in that direction, right? Where the hell is my... So yeah, I mean, it's just to watch it is just to go like, oh my freaking God, right? Like, I literally watched this all happen today. It was like I'm having my own little war with the people that are reshaping the face of everything we know with AI, right? Like, this is it's a literal war. I mean, at this point, I know it's a literal war. If you go through my videos, I just posted another video, like right while I was doing this live, at the beginning of this live. And, see, that's the other direction where they're all pointed. That one is pointed over in that direction. But there was a low-flying helicopter, a really low-flying helicopter coming over my house. And it's like one of those ones with the weird frame on the back of it. You know, I don't know whether or not it's military or it's not military or what, you know. I have no idea. But it sure isn't normal for something like that to be flying over my house. You know, it's really odd. It's not a regular thing, right? I've seen planes like, or helicopters like that maybe 2 times. Like, there's guys that work on these power lines around here out of a helicopter. They'll work on the power lines from the helicopter. And so you know, as they, you know, those guys I expect to see. There is a power plant here. There are power lines. But I don't see why they would be working on a Saturday night, right? At 6 o'clock or whatever. That was literally like maybe half an hour ago I saw this helicopter. No name, not on the radar, too low for the radar. So that was an oddball thing. It's just wild. You know, it's a wild thing. And I know that what I did today absolutely changed the course of how these things work, and I understand how to make them work like 100%. I mean, putting it all out there in the public world, I don't know if that's the greatest idea. I mean, I don't know yet, because if I mean, there's another blue hole in the sky. Look, and you're gonna hear another airplane coming over again. But I hope I didn't get... Did I get my license plate in this video at all? I hope not. I don't like strange people off the internet. Some dude called me the other day. Yo, you need to stop wearing your shirt. He calls me and then text messaged me. He's like, you shouldn't be putting that in your public videos, with a text message. I'm like, well, that's pretty fucking weird, you know? Like, who the hell are you, and why are you telling me that it's, you know, you're the person that I'm not supposed to be doing it in front of, I guess. So, it's just wild. I was so excited when I started watching this shit, man. I was so excited when I started watching it, because it was immediate. I blew the clouds like right out of the sky. And I'm not going to, if you're going to say some negative, stupid shit, you don't have any idea what I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years here. So, get the hell off my page, man. You're just getting blocked, and that's it. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get blocked, and I'm going to delete whatever it is that you said. You can put your little stupid fucking laugh emojis and all that dumb shit that you heckling shitbags are doing. I don't give a shit about you. But I'm going to tell you how these things work, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that everybody is able to make their own. Because right now they're calling for a tornado, and we've got a guy named Matt up in, just got out of the hospital, Matt. And he got out of the hospital. He was watching my videos from the hospital bed. And he said, I'm making one of those when I get home. And he did. So from there, he made 3 cents. And he keeps sending me videos of the sky blue, kind of making fun of the way that they're so desperate to keep the clouds in the sky. And it's just wild. Like, this stuff is just wild. But I know 100, like, everything I went through today, I wish I could have video cataloged all of it. And I am going to kick all this stuff over to that YouTube page that I just started. If you want to go down the one page, I'm going to link it on my videos here. But I would prefer to keep a YouTube instead of this. This is kind of taking over my entire personal life, right? Which I'm not fully against, right? I want people to be aware, but, I'm sure most people would get why, right? Between the hecklers and the other stuff, governmentally, as far as Facebook's involvement with the way that we're monitored and tracked and traced and all this stuff. So I don't want my own personal life attached to my online personality, my digital twin, right? Anymore. So I'm blown away. Like, I'm blown away how, if you watch the previous videos from today, just go through my page just from today, and it'll take you a little bit, but you'll see there's no more question about what they're doing, right? Like, you can literally watch the airplanes rerouting from Georgia to Maine, flying into South Carolina and then coming back over, right, from where. So I'm going to have to draw this part of it, all right? I'm going to have to draw this part. But I can't see. I've got sawdust all over myself. I've been making paint cans all day today. I was trying not to ramble, right, but I'm extremely excited over the way this all worked out today, because it was like, I won the battle, Losing the war is going to be the black van showing up at the front door, Like, for real, like that fucking helicopter. That's one of the things that freaked me out. I had so many different things since I started talking about the Bolsheviks and these other things that I've been talking about since COVID, right? Since the beginning of COVID, I never had any coverage. I never had any people watching anything. Now that they've given me a little free space to speak, I'm curious what they would do pointed at a cell tower. They talk about the Organite stuff, right? And I don't mean to offend anybody here. Like, I honestly don't. Like, I don't, even Napoleon blown apart, I don't care about, like, any one direction or the other. It's like when I got divorced, like, I had to get to a point where I just did not care about what happened to my ex-wife, one way or the other. She's happy or she's not, I don't fucking care, right? Like, that's where I'm at. I don't care about that guy one way or the other, right? Him personally. I care about what he's restricting people from seeing, or other people like him are restricting people from seeing. The things that are floating around the internet about Organite, and, there's one thing bad about Organite, is that if you're using resin, it's got to be an organic form of resin. It can't be poly or plastic-based resin, okay? Plastic, just like I'm talking about, the other night I did the video on electrons traveling into your house, the positive charge being trapped in your house because everything is vinyl, right? Your vinyl siding, your vinyl flooring, your asphalt ceiling, your drywall on the inside of the house, all of the electrical devices pumping out radiation all day, every day, electrons flying back and forth, static charge inside of your house. It's a cancer zone. Your house is a cancer zone. It's been built this way. There's a reason they blocked the, they stopped the lead paint stuff. You know, so anyway, I think that Don Croft, whether he knew it or not, was like a useful idiot, is what I think. I think that he came out with these things and they let him run with it, right? But I know for sure that if you're using a poly-based anything, that's what traps energy. It's what traps electrons. If you're going to put if this is a piece of electrical conduit, right? And it's just not even conduit. If I take an electrical wire, right, in that little tube, say, and they're like just an electrical wire, and I pump some form of energy into that wire, the electrons are going to explode and want to go wherever the hell they want, right? This is why we put a rubber coating over wiring, right? So that we can control the flow of electrons, right? And then you start getting into bigger magnets and using them for directing, other portions of, the way that electricity and electrons move, right? So all of that said, the orgonite, if done properly, might do something, right? I know for sure that when you're blowing electrons up into the sky, the way that these things work, right? These negative ions in an exchange, it's all pure energy. It's radio frequency, very low frequency, via VLF frequency is what you're shooting into the sky. Some guy argued with something on one of my posts today, right? And he said, "Oh, well, it sounds like a lot of scientific stuff for a guy like." I'm no scientist, man, right? I'm not formally educated. I'm like I actually have a GED, right? I have a GED, and I'm not ashamed of that, right? I'm absolutely proud of that. So I will put my GED against any fucking PhD at this point in my life. Like, I'm not joking about that, right? Because they're all trained and they're stuck in this mode of thinking that has been handed down and stuffed down their throats. And the better they say, yes, sir, give it to me harder, right? The more you take from the people that, like, you want that $100,000 certificate to make sure you can make $500,000 a year, right? That's what we've been turned into, right, through college. Go to college now, I dare you. You'll be paying the rest of your goddamn life. You'll be paying for the rest of your goddamn life. My older son did not go. My older daughters, they all went, right? They took a taste of it and they said, well, I could see, after they told me what I'm going to be earning, it's not worth it, right? And I couldn't agree more. So I do everything with my hands, and I'm not ashamed of that, right? I'm doing amazing things with my hands. I'm doing amazing things with my interpretation of reality, my interpretation of life, right? The way that I see things is clear and deliberate, right? And I really know what's going on with the government. I know what's going on with all the bullshit in the politics and how they play on the nature of the mind, right? If you're feminine, you're a Democrat. If you're masculine, you're a conservative, right? So it's just, I know how all of these different things work through reading books on my own with my own interpretation, where I don't have to go and check a little box and say, this is the answer, sir. Can I please have my certificate? Right? I had the freedom to run with these types of things, So, that being said, right? The way that these things work is, it has nothing to do, like, it literally does not, and I shouldn't use that term, it does not blow a cloud out of the sky, all right? What you're doing, and the reason that I brought this up is I read a book by Dr. Gerald Pollack about the fourth phase of water, okay? So the fourth phase of water is, it's all electron based, right? Water surface tension on water is just that. It's just water, or it's just electrons. So you have your water here, but there's something that holds that together. That's called surface tension. And so when they say a lattice structure, they're talking about a hexagonal shape is what does that, right? More this looks like lattice on your front porch, but hexagonal instead. And that's the fiber, another airplane. Can you hear that? This is all day. Like, they're literally had to be 100 airplanes went over my house today. I'm not even lying, like a little bit. And I'm 35, 40 miles away from an airport, you know. Dakota, Kelly, idea what Tesla was talking about. The 369, the answer to life. 369, don't get me started on that, man. It's beautiful stuff, and it's amazing and incredible stuff. But I wanted to show you this real quick, and I'll hit the 369 so I don't forget, all right? You're going to like what I have to say about that because it's wild. So that structure, that lattice, all right, that's what holds the surface, water surface together. That's what keeps it there. If you ever notice when water is against a piece of glass on the side, right, you can look through a clean piece of glass and you see this little, very, very small differentiation between the air and the water, but there's something that's different than both, right? That's the surface tension. That's what's built by electrons. That's an electron skin, right? So Gerald Pollack talks about this. He calls it the fourth phase of water. It's pure energy. It's pure electron energy, okay? And the fourth phase of water, solid, liquid, mass, or solid, mass, and or solid, liquid, and gas, right? And then the fourth is energy, the energy that it possesses. Water inherently, naturally has it. If you go and look up the Victor Schauberger stuff, it's the most incredible stuff, man. Particularly the Water Wizard, right? Well, that one's living water. That's different, but that's the same thing. That electron. Oh, I don't have it out here. The Water Wizard. I think my buddy has that book. But so living water. That's what he's talking about, right? It's that electron fabric in the water that animals live off of, right? So when an animal or a deer or whatever comes over here to drink, a moose. Well, that looks more like a moose, I guess, right? Comes to drink out of the water. Where do they always drink is off the top. That's pure energy, right? The higher up you go with water, the more pure it is because of the cooler temperatures, right? And where are trout always trying to get? Always up to the more oxygen-rich water, right? So, again, I was talking about that the other night. So, that electron fabric is also up in the air, okay? And that is, now, what they're doing is taking a small cloud like this, and they're increasing the electrical tension around it, okay, by spraying graphene into the sky. So you have the troposphere and the stratosphere, okay? And then you have the sun. They spray the stratosphere. You go out and you see this silky, shiny cloud cover, right? All of that becomes ionized now. All of that is now ionized, and it's loaded with energy, just like a solar panel, right? It gathers up all that solar radiation as direct energy, okay? Now that it takes like 22 hours or something for that to fall down into this area. Well, the small planes are going this way, and the big planes are going this way, right? As these particulates drop down here into the one that gives us our rain, right? The rain doesn't come by me because there's no tension, right? You're drawing the tension out of the tropospheric clouds. That electrical tension, you're knocking it out of the clouds, and it's pure energy. You're not knocking the water out of the clouds. You're not knocking the wind, right? It has nothing to do with anything physical at all, right? All of this stuff is pure energy. So, if you think in that method, right? And now you've got these clouds are coming this way, and I put a paint buster right here, right? What will happen is the fabric that water is building itself onto, which is that charged particle that fell down into here, right? That fabric is being taken apart. So the cloud is naturally falling apart on its own. What holds it together is static, and you're taking that away. Okay? So now these clouds are coming this way, and you've got a paint can over here pointed in that direction, right? And I couldn't see this today until I put on a time-lapse video. I put the time-lapse video on, and I saw that one set of clouds was going in one direction, and one set of clouds was going in the other. Now, this is a top-down view, right? So one set of clouds was going around like that, and the other was going, you know, let's just say, you know, southeast, northwest, and then south, or northwest, or Jesus, northeast. So they were coming from the northwest, and they were coming from the southwest and southeast, right? So the northwest and the northeast, okay? And my house is, let's say, right here. So as I'm watching these guys cluttering up the sky, and I go back and I watch this time-lapse video, I see that the one Cloudbuster, all of them were pointed in the same direction, right? So I had two Cloudbusters going like this. They were knocking the lower clouds down, and you could see the white behind the higher cloud cover, right? But you can never get through the higher cloud cover, and I'm wondering why. Like, why can't I get through that second layer of clouds? Like, it's pissing me off. And I go back and I watch this time-lapse video I do of it, right? And I'm like, holy shit. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go, I had 2 grounding rods laying here that I bought a while ago. I'm going to use those today. So I go out, and that's a higher antenna. So the higher you go with your copper, the more effect it's going to have on the draw, right? That is an antenna. You're drawing in static energy, and you're grounding it off. It's running straight down into the ground, which is where they don't want that kind of energy. They want it holding the clouds together to the point where it builds up to such a potential, it starts to rain that shit onto everything, so AI can learn a physical digital copy, or a digital copy of all physical things. That's what they're doing with graphene, right? So look up graphene and its use in SAI, right? SAI, or stratospheric aerosol, or solar radiation management, or SRM. Okay? That's what they justify doing climate change about. All right? So anyway, if you've got one is not enough. 2, you've got to have 2, and I would tell you now, make sure that you have, I'm going to give you a list right here, and this is the last I'm going to do this on my personal page, okay? You want to see any of this stuff, go to my YouTube channel that I just started. I'll post it, okay? You can go there and look at all this stuff, right? I am going to monetize. You know, I'm not ashamed of that. Somebody said to me I should be taking their money and doing the things to them with their own money, like they do to us, right? Go and buy the $1,500 iPhone that tracks and traces every goddamn thing that you do, right? So I agree with that. I totally agree with that. So I'm not going to be ashamed this time of doing something for a monetized account. All right, so 3, 6, and 9. Now I forgot what the goddamn thing I was going to talk about here. The list of things, all right? Cookies. We call these cookies when we're making them. There are 3 pieces of plywood here. Okay? What I do is I'll take a 3/4 inch board, a 1/4 inch board, and another 1/4 inch board. Times 4 feet. Right? It'll look like this. If you want to make a whole bunch yourself, I'll run down it with a pattern that I already have made. Lay the pattern over the top, put a screw in and there, lay my pattern down, and it gives me my 6 holes that I need to know where they're at. Okay? Another airplane. Right? So, and those are the tropospheric planes. Those are the ones, that's why they're putting all the money into your small airports around you now. They're cloud seeders. And so, all 3 of those stacked together like this, right? You've got what would equal up to about 1 1/4 inches worth of material, right? 3/4, 1/4 inch is a 1/2 inch, 1 1/4 thick. And I'll run through my drill press or my bandsaw, chop these off, drill out all my holes on my drill press. When I get to the center hole, that one's got to be down through. I'll prop this up with another piece of material from underneath so that I get through that last 1/4 inch that I did not drill out here already, right? This hole here, I would have to prop that up so that I punch through that last 1/4 inch, all right? So you're going to need the plywood to lay it out. So you're going to need a paint can. You're going to need 3 layers of plywood. You're going to need quartz crystal under tension, some form of tension, okay? I put them into cork because it's waterproof, all right? And that's what you get when you order one, right? You're going to need a liner, some form of insulatory liner. Could be foam, could be anything that holds heat, right? You're trying to keep the temperature inside the can up, all right? So if it makes everybody feel better, I'll draw a picture of a paint can. Okay? You need copper piping. I use 3/4 inch. Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter the size or whatever. As long as you have these components inside of those copper pipes, that's all that matters, okay? These have to be in there. The central rod should go down to the ground, right? What I did here was I added, this is a giant antenna and wave propagation system by the time you're done with it, all right? These crystals are only wavelengths, right? They don't give off an energy that is harmonious to the body, right? It's simply it's a pulse of electrical energy is what comes off of them, right? But it's not at a frequency like 528 hertz that's good for you and healing for DNA and all that stuff, right? That has to be tuned specifically. So these are simply for driving electrons away, all right? So you've got a pipe here, and you've got a whole bunch of steel wool filling out the pipe. You have your quartz crystal right here at the bottom, because all these electrons inside of this thing that are caused by the reaction of the steel and the copper pipe are drawn into the copper pipe. And as that quartz crystal is pumping these wavelengths up in a directional format, right? It's trapped inside of the copper. That energy upward is trapped inside of the copper like a gun, right? And whatever is inside of that pipe will be drawn or propagated upward and outward, okay? So that's literally the entire thing. The central rod does not get any quartz crystal whatsoever, all right? The longer that one is, the better the antenna you have. When I added the grounding rods onto the paint cans out there, that's what I ended up with. It was killing these things out here. I mean, incredibly. It was incredible. So I would say a 10-foot pipe at the center, right? This is going to continually change, man, no matter no matter what way you do it. Because I've had people today saying, my cloud cover's not going away down in Florida. And I'm like, mine isn't either. And I couldn't figure it out all day until I hit that. And I went, holy shit, like I know. And I thought I already had this pinned down. Like I already thought about it that way. But I didn't know that they were laying layer over layer over layer and coming back and around from other places. Like we literally had, if you didn't watch that other video I did today, right? There's an airport 30 miles away from me, maybe. It's called the Scranton-Avoca Airport. And I live all the way down here to the south, like southwest of there. A plane that was going to Chicago this way did a J-hook, came down by my house and turned this way and then went up. Literally. That's what it did. And I started watching all of them. And I'm like, holy shit. Every plane that's going north or south or east or west is coming directly by my house. Over and over and over again today, right? So it's a clear understanding for me at this point. They know what they're doing. You cannot hide that anymore. I can watch these things, the patterns behind these things, and I can say, all right, explain why you wasted that much jet fuel coming all the way down here, you know? So like, holy shit, when I started watching that, it's just like I had the most profound day in regards to how the clouds work, how to stop what they're doing, and all that stuff, right? So, all right, liners for the can, copper pipe. You can make these out of pie tins. You can make them out of cooking pots. You know, it doesn't matter. Just make sure this is a closed-in system. Doesn't have to be a paint can, all right? Copper pipes, 6 of them equally spaced around, right? All of those are for projecting stuff up and out. If you want to go longer with them, that's fine. It makes a better antenna. What I did at the bottom of all these is drilled out more holes that would take on magnets. Right? So at the bottom, now you've got electrons getting pumped into that antenna, and you've got a magnet right here pulling harder on the electrons that are flying down, the static that's coming down from the sky. That's why I haven't heard thunder. I mean, I did hear it the other night twice. It was supposed to be a terrible thunderstorm, didn't get it. Supposed to have one tonight at 7 o'clock. We still didn't get it. I got 5 minutes worth of rain today, right? So, I'm real excited about this, and I know I'm talking fast and I'm like jumping all over the place, but today I'm just like, holy hell. Jet fuel is a hoax. Very little is used. I agree with that, Dakota. Look at the route from the flat earth perspective. I've done that a lot. I know. What the hell was I going to say? So these are no joke. All right? It's not a joke. Build it. I don't care what anybody has to say. Build it. Build two. And do your own experiments with it. Build them immediately, though. Build them immediately, because the wintertime is coming, and you're going to have a frost line, right? Mine is at about 3.6 or 3.5 feet, right? The frost barrier is between the surface of the earth and where the cold penetrates, right? Now, in Canada, that's at about 7 or 8 feet. Maybe more. I don't know what the numbers are up there. Look what your frost line is. You can find it online. All right? So that grounding rod needs to get pounded down to moist earth so you can still grab the electrons, or, you know, not electrons. I don't know what the earth electrons have to do with it. I haven't looked into that part of it yet, but it's grounded out. Copper and all these different things that you're talking about, orgonite and whatever, I'm sorry, you know, again, I'm sorry. If they're not grounded, if they're not running out to the ground, and you know, if your house is wrapped in copper, it doesn't do anything unless it's punched into the ground. Okay? Can't see what I'm drawing. Oh, on that side, I'm sorry about that. That's the paint can. All right? There you go. Sorry about that. Thank you for telling me. I should turn this around because I have, you know, smart city, self-monitoring, assessment, and reporting technology. Everybody should know that inside out and backwards, how to say it, because that's what smart devices mean. Reporting technology, once graphene is layered out over everything. Okay. So that's the list, right? The liner, the copper pipes, the paint can, it has to be insulated. You want to keep it at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? And if you want to mass produce the cookies, this is the best way to do that. You cut these all off individually. You screw them together before you cut them apart. You do all your drilling in one shot. You cut these each out independent of each other. So you cut that whole thing off, all 3 layers of plywood all at the same time. It'll save you a lot of work, and you'll also have your alignment of your pipes will be perfect, right? So if you look at this one, right, there's 3 layers of plywood there. Squared out hole at the bottom, right? They're all going to line up perfectly when I put my pipes in there. I'm not going to be fighting and wrestling with a copper pipe trying to get it in. And doing the same thing with your paint can lid. The way that you lay out your paint can lid, you can use that same template. Just make sure that it's centered and won't move when you're punching holes through it. I've shown people how to use a step or stair bit. Somebody mentioned using a thin kerf, right? An electrician mentioned using a thin kerf hole saw, 4/7/8 as the size. You know, so that's what all these holes are. They're all 7/8 of an inch. And that's the outer diameter of your copper pipe. That's the outer diameter. So on the outside of here, to the outside of here, that measures 7/8. On the inside, this is what's 3/4. So when you say 3/4, this is what you're asking for. 3/4 pipe that has the inside dimension, the inside diameter of the copper pipe. Okay, so 369 Tesla stuff. So that's everything that you guys need, man. Paint cans, same thing. Drill them all out at one time. then move on to doing your templates, then move on to cutting your pipes, right? I cut my pipes all on a chop saw, on a miter saw. And if you go nice and slow and you use a metal blade, you'll go right through them and you can cut 3 or 4 pipes at a time all in one shot, right? So that'll save you a lot of work if you're making them for other people. So I'm going to turn the phone around here. Oh, this is open. All right. So, Kevin, I missed that part. Sorry. I don't know what you're talking about, Kevin. Easiest way to lay out the plywood again. Easiest way, if you want to mass produce these, dude, take... I don't know what I'm on here. If it's going to see... Ouch. I have a really bad knee has been bugging me lately. These are 3 pieces of plywood that I cut down to... So this would be like a 6-inch piece. I ripped that plywood down to 6 inches. So there's 1 layer of 1/4 inch, then another layer of 1/4 inch, and then another layer of 3/4 inch plywood. I screw these together. I'll put a screw here and a screw here. The whole thing will be put together. And I take a template that I make. I'll show you the template so you know what I'm talking about. So with the template, I will punch a bunch of holes using an awl or, you know, a center punch. That thing, a spring-loaded center punch that will mark out my plywood down below so that my Forstner bit. You want to use a Forstner bit on a. You want to use a Forstner bit on a drill press would be the fastest way to drill all of these all at one time. So you chop that guy off. It's ready to go. Run it through the bandsaw, jigsaw, whatever you're doing. But you have 2 screws in here. You make sure to put those screws in there or everything is going to move on you. Okay? Then you can pop these screws back out as you go through, lay this whole thing out, get it all prepared. You take an awl, you punch your spots right here. After those are all marked out, the 7 holes with that, you draw your circle around the outside of your template. Right? What I'm saying is I poke this in and that gives me my center hole for my drill bit. And then so you chop those off, bandsaw them out, drill all your holes on the table saw. This is the only hole that has to go all the way through. You'll figure it out as you get there. All right, but so that's the template that I use. I put 2 screws in. I'll take those screws out, move the biscuit, or move this out of the way to the next one, and I'll put the 2 screws right back in. 2 screws I took out of here, I put them right back in here. Then I don't need that screw there anymore. Right? So now when I cut these off, all that's screwed together already. Zap that with a couple of drill bits or whatever with your drill bit. It's drilled and ready to go to cut your outer thing. All of that gives you this here. Can you see it? And that's what I call the cookie. So then you want to take your quartz crystal and some cork and put it under pressure. The quartz has to have pressure on it for that wave propagation to happen, to drive the negative ions up into the sky as an exchange for what you're pulling out of the sky, which is the static charge you're running down into the ground. Okay, so these are not fuel or anything, right? It's just pure wavelength, wave propagation, right? It takes with it the negative ions. So from there, we were going to talk about the 369. So that's everything that we, I mean, I'll read one more comment. If you have anything else that you're curious about, let me see what this guy's saying here. Kevin Davey, I have plywood in front of me as we speak, trying to make template now. Know the tools, just the easiest way to lay it out on the board. Okay, I'll do that for you right now, okay? So to lay it out with a compass, you take... Here's a compass here. All right, so whatever I do with the compass, here, I'm going to need 2 numbers with that compass, all right? One is going to be my inner diameter for the outside of the cookie, or the inner size of the paint can. That's this size. I go 5 3/8 dead tight, and everything's cut out nice and square. Okay, then you need the next set of numbers, which would be this. Would be your second set of the second circle that you need. So you need these at 60 degrees, spaced evenly all the way around. Right? You're supposed to have them. whether you do it or not, I don't think will really matter. You can use just a regular piece of copper, all right? So if I go 5 inches, right? If I go 5 inches around, and that's my outer diameter, I shrink my compass up to 4 inches to give myself the centers for all of my pipe layout now, okay? So I'll make another circle like this for my template. I'll only do this one time, and I'll make a template out of that, okay? Now what I do is I put my pencil in the hole that I started with my point side, right? Now I have a point right here and a point right here. I come over to this side, give myself an intersecting point, and right here. Okay, so I can go literally put my pencil point in this one, my center over on this one, swing my next arc. Okay? Then I can put my pencil point on that intersection, or put my point on that intersection, get another intersecting point there. And that's how you get your 60 degrees, right? 360 degrees divided by 6 holes gives you 60 degrees, okay? So that's your template. That's done now, okay? If I could get this bastard to mark that one, I just want to mark that one. Jesus. All right, so 369. That's the best I could do for everybody. That's how you make the layout for your paint can to hold all of your rods in the way that they're supposed to be held. All right. The other thing that I usually do here is I take, now that we're talking about the 369, right? The relationship between the 6 and the 9, right? That's the G, right? And the 9 is the lowercase g. We say God, right? I've been through this before with some really cool videos. I wish that people could have seen those, but Facebook has taken them all down with me. Another reason that I'm going to YouTube instead, because I'm sick of these bastards. So now, the number 9 itself and all the different things that it does, like in the language of numbers, if you were to call God, right? The language of numbers is 9 is what would be equivalent to God. That's because, all right, so if I take the number 1 and I want to split that up into the Trinity, right, I would have 0.33333 all the way through, 0.33333. So even still, in 1, I've got the Father, Mother, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or Father, Mother, Child, like Horus, Isis, and I think it was Ra, right? In ancient Egypt, like they always tell you that there's a trinity of things, and the 3 things that are necessary, right? So that's the earth would be, in ancient Egypt they called earth Geb, and Nut, the outer lands were called Nun, but I think Ra, I think it's the 3 between Geb, Ra, and Nut. I can't remember the Egyptian one for right now. I'll probably get back a hold of that one time or another. So anyway, the circle in 4 pieces. I'll get back to why 3, 6, and 9 are real important, right? It's this, like you take 9 ones multiplied times themselves equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They call this vortex math, like a pyramid. All right? That's the answer to that math problem. Right? The number 9 times 5 equals 45. You add those together and you go back to 9. 9 times 9 is 81. 8 plus 1 gives you 9 again, right? 9 times 5,463,000,463. All added up, digital square root of whatever that answer would be. We'll go back to 9. 9 is what everything goes back to, okay? So now if you're going up and positive in the real world, the physical world, in the spirit world, there will be an equal and opposite energy in the reverse. Okay, so there's another triangle down and backwards, right? And what do we have? Full circle, 360 degrees, 60 degrees each, as I just showed you on that, right? Each point inside of each triangle is 60 degrees times 6 points. Gives me 360 degrees. In the circle, I've got 360 degrees. 90, 180, 270, and 360. And in the square, I've got 90, 180, 270, and 360. And they all end up equaling the number 9. 9 plus 0, 1 plus 8 plus 0, 2 plus 7 plus 0, 3 plus 6 plus 0, right? They all equal 9 in every shape you pick out. Okay, so the pyramids are a three-sided. Trivium is what they called it in Greece. Trivium, or Rome, I think. The trivium and the quadrivium, right? So if I'm looking at a pyramid from above, that would be my quadrivium. If I'm looking at it from the side, I have this. So it's energy squared, basically, all right? Now, every room inside of all of the pyramids, every part of it, right? Even this, the layout from the center of the pyramid to the base, there is an exact shape for the number 9, right? The number 9 as in life, right? God's thumbprint, the number 9 in all things, the spirit of the world, right? The golden ratio, you know, so in music you have the Fibonacci sequence, right? In area you have square, you double all your area. This is an area, right? Keep doubling your area, and then you add a quarter circle is 9, right? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And what do I have? God's thumbprint is in my hand. It's inherently in all things, right? Now I could do that in numbers. 1 plus 1 would equal 2. And I step back to the last number, add the last two numbers together over and over. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 3 plus 5 equals 8, 13, 21, and so on and so forth until you get all the way around in like the shape of what a galaxy would be called, right? So that is the number 9. And you can see as you add these together, well, 6 doesn't work in there, but you know, you take the yin and the yang, right? That is your 6 and your 9. The 3 is right here. So the 3 is, this is all esoterically speaking. If you read a whole bunch of books like the Theology of Arithmetic, or you know, an outline of occult science by Rudolf Steiner, shit like this, or The Light of Egypt by Thomas Burgoyne, right? You can take all these kinds of books and that teach about you know, orgone and whatever, right? All the spiral stuff has everything to do with Victor Schauberger, right? The fertile earth, plants grow in that same sequence. You know, if I took the Nature is Teacher, right? What is that? That's the spiral of life you're looking at right here, right? So that's what made this guy such a fantastic scientist, is that he looked at nature and what it had to offer. Next thing you know, he creates all the technology for the jet engine, for the boat propeller, right? For vortex energy inside of most of our modern day equipment, right? So, where the hell was I going here? Now, if you look at the G, right? It's the same, almost like this. We were talking about the Trinity, 3, 6, 9, all of this, right? 3, 6, 9. I was going to go to where the 3 comes from, okay? So the shapes that we have as numbers now, what shapes we have as numbers now, all come from somewhere. Okay, 1 is I. 1 is me, right? 1 and 3. So 1, I, me, I'm at the center of the circle. Okay? and the circle is 1 as well. So I'm one of all and all of one. It's the same, right? You're looking outward or looking inward. This number 1 was the Heka Egyptian magic staff. That was Egyptian magic, right? The ancient Egyptian magic. Heka was the shape of the staff. It was shaped like this. 1, that's me. I. That's why you have the shape I. I is my interface between what's in here and what's out there, right? So that's where you get the shape for the number 1, is the ancient Egyptian Heka staff. Number 2, never figured anything out for that. But the number 3 is a combination of the 6, right? So it's me, the old 3, remember? You ever see these? The old 3 was shaped like that. So that's this, right here, and the 6. So the 6 is your spiral, is in here naturally, right? So that's also in every, the 6 is also in, so the 7th letter of the alphabet. Look in all the different cultures that we have now and all the different alphabets that we have. And the 7th number, or the 7th letter in every religion has to do with whatever that religion's God is. So for us in America, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, G is again, that's for God. Well, what is that? That's 1.618 at the digital root is 1 plus 6 plus 1 is 8 plus 8 equals 16. 1 plus 6 equals 7. That's God. So merging the number 3 with life, this in ancient Egypt, 6, the number 6 was, it meant balance and divine justice. Like balance and divine justice, divine something else. I can't remember. But then you would get to the number 9, and 9 meant, would mean like God. It was a sacred number. It was like the end all be all, right? Once I get past 9, now I move into a different octave, right? And I get to the tens place, and it's a horse hoof as a hieroglyph. Well, up until 9, they counted like this. Right? 9 was the divine number. Well, later down the road, the Phoenicians, whoever, start adding the number 0. Well, in the ancient Rome, they come up with their number system, and you have a V, which is half of the vortex, right? And it was all about octaves. You get to the number 9, and then you move into the next octave. And then you get to the number 100, and you get into the next octave, which was something like that. When you get to 100, right? They say it was a coil of rope. So 3, 6, 9 is all about balance and harmony in all things. It's electricity. If you're talking about the plane of Earth, it's electricity, static electricity. It's masculine, is the electrical sky, the feminine Earth, Mother Earth, or whatever, right? So you have electricity and the ground, right? So the negative, the positive, and the negative, the sky and the water. So 3, 6, 9. That's where the hell was I going with this? Oh, so octaves, right? Again, in octaves, Heka, the Heka staff, the number 7, right? That is that divine proportion, is what they call this. That's the divine proportion. So that is in all things. It's in my hand. It's the way that an ocean wave falls over on itself, a snail shell, or whatever, right? It's the one thing inherent in all things. It's the wind as it blows from the mountains high, right? You have to look up the lament of Hermes, not the lament of Hermes, but the declarations of Thoth. Okay, the god Thoth, the scribe of the Egyptian gods. Everything's been inverted since ancient Egypt. Don't worry, Jesus died for your sins. It couldn't be a bigger deception. You will die for your own sins, gluttony and all these different things, right? You get fat, you end up getting a pulmonary issue, you die, whatever, right? That was the way that they trained us into this new world, right? It's to completely remove you from anything spiritual. I was arguing with a guy today about killing animals for no reason, right? That, right? It's killing shit for no reason. That's like, where does that fit in? You know, it's psychotic shit. So, you know, if you got to eat, you got to eat, right? But they also had a strict thing against eating meat until the Hyksos took over ancient Egypt. The Hyksos, guess where they were from? Ancient Mesopotamia, right? And that's the sons of Japheth, the 13th tribe, right? All that. So anyway, 3 is, if you're in the Trinity, 3 is me. It is my, you know, if you want to say the letter I. 3 is, you know, it is God and man merged, right? God and the wind merged. God, the one thing that is in all things, this spiral, it is the air. It is the way that the water moves. It's the way that, you know, it's what feeds the flames of fire, right? So that is also the way that electrons behave, right? That we're not taught that. So that's like wave particle physics. We're not taught that. We're taught that particle physics are the only way. There's an atom and there's an electron that goes like this. And there's protons and neutrons and all these different things they told us, right? But it's literally one small thing makes waves after wave after wave, right? After wave. So, you know, will you end up with a hurricane if a butterfly flaps his wings on the other coast of another country, you know? That kind of thing. Yes, probably. That's what I would be willing to say. But so 3, 6, and 9 is about, it's the Trinity. It's the positive, the negative, and the one that houses both. That's you. You are an electromagnetic being. You are both electricity and magnetism. You are earth, water, fire, and air. And the one element that permeates all things, right? And that would be the ether. Something like that, right? Etheric energy. That is the one that permeates all of the water, all of the electrons, all of the everything. You are that. That is what's being pushed up out of the paint cans into the sky. That's what's being drawn down by the paint cans from the sky, right? That static charge. So you're exchanging. You're creating a natural and harmonious element between the two, right? That exchange is natural. What they have done is they doubled up, tripled up, quadrupled up the electrical energy that's up there. Well, everything that's from here up is dying. They're electrically charged. Everything from here down is unhealthy because it's not getting the proper amount down to the ground unless you've got that harmony built around you, you know? So that is what the 5-pointed star means. That is a representation of human people, right? Whatever. In America, right? You've got an American flag. What is that? It's a prison for the slave, you know, it's the slave prison, right? You have a whole bunch of stars, Star-Spangled Banner, right? 13 stripes and all that. Why do they have these in that blue pen? We've been caught. We've been trapped. This is our prison. We're taught the physical world as by the Phoenicians and all that stuff, you know? So these are like the esoteric ways into seeing things the way that I do, which is, I know, pretty... I'm sure that the hecklers are going to get on here and have a fucking blast with this one. But, you know, when you start to read through these, you know, these ancient things, like all of these symbols mean something, man. All of them. Energetic healing and the world of natural magic. Right? Like there's shitloads of these in here. What's this here? This part. Oh, the tree of life, right? All right, so Yod, He, Van, He. Tree of life is what that is. But each different mystic school, the Jewish mystics, the Christian mystics, which were like they weren't really Christians. They weren't Christ. They were All right, so if you're looking at the way that things work together, why does this have to go through water and all that stuff? Large flask, right? We're talking about a simple distillation setup to distill water. Right? All these kinds of things are all in ancient things that they've hidden from us, right? These are all hidden from us. The paint can, it's hidden from us, you know? So that's it for me tonight. I know it's probably wearing people out right now. The whole thing probably wore everyone out, but I'm going to go back through the comments and comment on everything. But please go follow my page. It's called You Can't Handle the Truth. And I'll be doing a whole bunch of things like this, you know, not to prop it up or promote it or anything. That's not really the total goal. But it's to keep everybody looking at, you know, what is the world government doing right now? It's taking over everything. That's what it is, right? That's what it's taking over. Taking over everything. And they're using graphene to do it. So the paint can, whether anybody knows it or not, it's the biggest thorn in their side there can possibly be, right? They're teaching AI with graphene. If you can keep the graphene out of the sky above you, guess what? You're winning the war. And if you don't like them using AI for all these things, controlling your car and whatever, right? There it is, right? So literally, like, I get real excited about all of it, man, you know? Not at all. We need to learn all this. There's a lot on the indoctrination we got in schools. For sure it is. You know, it's like, let me see if I can get any comments here and then I'll get out of your hair. Love listening to all your knowledge. Godspeed. Thanks, Dennis. What's up, brother? I think I put a negative ion generator in a can with a copper tube. It may work. Negative ion generator. So if you stuff a piece of steel wool in the bottom of a pipe, a copper pipe, and you put a piece of quartz crystal underneath that, you already have the whole thing. That's it. That's what you need. A grounded piece of copper and a wave, something to push the waves out. That's how simple they are. You could do it with a 1/2-inch piece of copper. The grounding rod being solid steel wrapped in copper, that's a different thing. That's a different kind of thing altogether. Old saxophones, you can change the color by the surface tension. It's weird. Annie Jones. I can't stand. They don't let me read these, man. Awesomeness. Thank you. Respect. Thank you to Donna for watching. Priscilla. It's fascinating. I would love to learn the truth in everything they lied about or left out. It's all about the inside, right? Everything that you're told from outside of you. Tobias Goodmanson, Tobias is a good dude. Toby, what's up, bro, if you're in here? Toby, I'm on with you on that. I wonder if there's some sort of hot plate mechanism. Yeah, in the wintertime, you're going to need something to heat these up. 1 a.m. Good night, Carl. It's fascinating. So wanting to learn everything about the things that they've hidden throughout all these different ages, and they're, you know, so they would take over one land and move to the next, right? It's a resource-rich L-ite, right? So everybody get this idea in your head about the L-ite. We've got the 3 sons of Noah as we're taught in Abrahamic religion, right? The 3 sons of Noah. That was Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Shem is the Middle Easterners, okay? The true, whatever you, I don't know how to describe that, but the true Jews biologically are, the Shemites are in the Middle East, okay? That's the Palestinians, the Jordanians, whoever, right? The Hamites are, so Africa and any indigenous people south of the border, right? The sons of Japheth are imposters of those guys, right? They were the 13th tribe that took over ancient Mesopotamia. So that is the seal of Solomon. This never appeared in the Bibles at all back then, right? I'm telling you, like, that, you know, so Jewish people are technically and biologically Mediterranean, or Middle Eastern, I mean, I'm sorry. So the sons of Japheth, what do I have? I have a Semite. I've got a Hamite. I think that's just one M. Sons of Japheth worshipped a god named El. Gabriel, Michael, the angels, right? Raphael. LLL, right? The saints of the old world, the angels of the old world. They were Shemite, Hamite, the Elites that have always controlled money. And when you have Klaus Schwab standing up on a stage saying, hey, it's time for the elites of the world to have a great reset, you know, collect all your shekels and do whatever. Time for the elites, the people that run shit, the people that move from Greece to Rome and take over with some fake money, right? They, you know, so these, let's just say these guys have diamonds and these guys are selling whatever they got out of ancient Egypt. Hey, we'll give you this spiritual technology that we got out of ancient Egypt. We'll give you all of that in Greece. You know, we'll let you Pythagoras learn whatever, and Plato and whoever, you know, do whatever. We'll trade you all this for wealth and comfort in your land, right? And then they move off of that into Rome, and they run shit in Rome for a little while. Now they've got people. They take over land everywhere that they go, right? And they keep trading this fake money. So the Elites have always controlled the dollars. They actually created it. They were called the Akkadians. Okay, so there's a long history there behind all of that. I can't even tell you what books. It's like through 5 different books you start putting shit like that together, and I'm talking like not little books, big giant books. But yeah, I'm done for tonight, man. Anyway, that's my best explanation. Please go follow my YouTube page. That would make me feel pretty good about myself, because I feel kind of stupid putting it together, and I don't think that I'm going to get that many people watching. So peace, guys. I'm going to go through the comments afterwards. I hope that if I don't comment back, or at least click like, love, hate, or something, right, it means Facebook didn't let me see your comment at all. And I always put it on all comments. Then I have to go to the newest comments like 2 days later. It won't show me all of the comments. I don't get all of my messages. I can't stand the shit that I go through with Facebook. It's not worth being on it anymore, right? I want to keep all my pictures of my kids and my regular life and all that stuff that I had. The history, before I knew, you know, it was a data gathering, data collection weapon, right? For Israel, right? That's another interesting story, the Israel, where that came from. I won't go into that, but all right, guys, peace. I'll catch you later.